This is going to be the last 14.2, 14.3 circuit that I'm going to show you before we move on to the 12. This one almost always has a three-way in it, so we're going to talk about three-ways a little bit, and I hope I can do it some justice, but I'm going to have to make a separate video on this. I know a lot of people that are watching this video are new to electrical, and I want people to understand that I am not making these videos to appeal to how the inspectors are interpreting code in your area. These videos are strictly to show you how it works. As long as it works and you're not going to hurt the wire and it's going to last a long time, then it is what it is. So I go with the bare minimum, and I've been doing this for over 15 years. Of course, like, I've done things super neat but nowadays, like, I only get paid a certain amount of money to do these houses, so I gotta do them as fast as possible. I gotta cut corners, I gotta do whatever. So as long as it works and the wire's not getting damaged and it all looks good and I pass inspection, that's the main thing, is I pass inspection. But for the most part, we're not talking about inspections here. We're talking about how it works and getting the job done. I mean, a lot of people got a lot of different ways of doing this, and what we're doing today is we're doing this foyer front porch with the garage light, these coach lights, this laundry room, I got a doorbell here, and these kitchen lights, and this pantry. This right here is, this was a plan change, so this has nothing to do with it. I remember in the last video I put that dining light on with the family room because the switches were over here and it got switched around. They were showing a three-way on this kitchen, but on my options sheets they're not showing this three-way anymore, so they're not going to get one. So the only three-way I have right here is for this foyer and this long hall. So my three-way is going to come from this box, which is going to operate the kitchen, the kitchen lights and the kitchen pendants. I'm going to three-way it to the front door. Now I want to show you this too. It was calling for the switches at the front door, and you can see I got a strap right here from the frame. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. And I always say, like, whenever you put up a box, you got to have two in a corner for a block, and this is really tight. And if it wasn't for this little tiny gap right here, and I know what kind of plate is going to go in here, these D.R. Horton, they get Passage Seymour plates, I know it's going to fit. But if I was to use like a bigger plate, whatever, I'd rather have it here than over here on this wall. I'd like to have it directly when you first come in the house. But anyways, I am missing a light box right here. I done measured it out, and I know where it's going to be, so it's not even a big deal. It's going to run the wire out and I'll put the box up later. And the last thing before I start running some wire is, this is my home run. So this is where I'm going to start, and I'm just going to go ahead and take a look, and I'm going to try to map out how I'm going to do this circuit. So I'm going to jump out of here, hit this receptacle. I got my door chime right here, this receptacle, this switch box for the garage, this right here for the hall, and then I'm also putting on this receptacle in this hall area with this laundry room light. Then I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to hit this box for the kitchen. And then I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to get this pantry, and then I drill through the wall to hit this last receptacle in this hall. And it sounds like a lot, but most of these are LED lights and they don't take a lot of power, and these are really just like receptacles you're not really going to use for anything. Maybe a lamp or a vacuum cleaner, and it's not enough to cause a surge in power or anything. I mean, it's not overloaded at all. There's barely anything on it if you really look at it. Doorbell doesn't take nothing. So anyways, I'm just gonna start running the power wires like I always do. And when the wire gets this low, the wire is really tight on the wheel, and it kind of makes the wire a little choppy. Kind of makes it a little harder to pull, but always on the inside on switch boxes. And then it doesn't matter on the receptacles. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and put a staple in here. Just to keep my wire in order. It's so hot out here that my camera keeps overheating, so I gotta keep taking breaks and putting this shit in the cooler. Anyways. Stapling it up high way back here because there's a whole bunch of stuff right here and I just want to stay off of it. Alright, I'm not anywhere near that hole, so I just gotta take the best guess I can. Trust me, you do not want to be short. This might be a little long. Too bad. already here, I'm just gonna go ahead and start with this pantry light. I drilled this one crazy because you can see I got this platform up here, and it's kind of covering it up. There's no way easy across it without going back and then around. So I just drilled through the wall and came up here where the light is. And I'm gonna go into the bottom of this box, but I'm gonna stay in the second slot. Remember, the inside slots for the switches are the power, so as long as I'm on the outside, I can go in this bottom right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and put a staple down there to hold it. Next up is I'm gonna run the kitchen lights and the pendant lights from here. In this direction, I'm walking into the kitchen, and you want your immediate light to be your first switch, just like we talked about in those bathrooms. So in this case, it's going to be the kitchen lights. Those are my main immediate light when I'm coming in this direction. So that's gonna be my first switch. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in this slot 2 right here. And that'll tell me, without having to mark it, but I am gonna mark it, just because things get a little confusing once you get into 3-ways and everything. So, I'm not doing a 3-way yet, but that's for the kitchen lights. And then my second switch is gonna be my next immediate light, which will be my pendants. And the third switch for this is gonna be for the foyer. So I want that to be the first switch going in that direction. So like this last switch in this box from the stud is going to be for the foyer. It's going to be my foyer 3-way. So I'm going to do my kitchen, pendants, foyer. I'm going to finish these lights real quick and we'll get to the next. the pendants. Okay, we still have a three-way and a switch leg to pull for this foyer, but I'm gonna save that for last. So I'm just gonna go ahead, we just got done with the kitchen and the pendants. Now I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here in this laundry room, run this switch leg real quick. I don't have a box for this light either, so I'm just gonna pull a little bit extra and leave it hanging right here because it's gonna go right in this area. Okay, as you can see on these plans, I have two coach lights on the porch and they're going on with the front porch. So, as I've said before, when I'm coming in the front door, I want my first switch to be the foyer. But when I'm leaving out the door, I want my first switch to be this porch. So it's just switch sequence again. And I have to get a staple up here too. Alright, and without marking this, I already know what it is because it's in the right spot. And I know this panel's in a weird spot. It's what the customer wanted, so don't blame me for that.
You okay?
I'm gonna do my best to explain three-ways right now. That's the only thing I have left to do on this circuit. It was the hardest thing for me to learn whenever I first started electrical. But I'm never gonna like teach people how to do dead ends. Well, maybe, but they're really not necessary. So the way I do it is three-way is always powered on one side and switched on the other. Now a three-way switch has 4 screws on it. It has the ground screw, 2 traveler screws, and a black screw, which is the common. So, which means that when you go to hook up that switch, one side on the common is going to be the hot. And then on the other side of the three-way, the common is going to be the switch leg. So all that does is it alternates back and forth the power or the switch leg to either connect the circuit or disconnect the circuit. So like I said, we're gonna power on one side, we're gonna switch on the other. It gets a little crazy when you're going from one box that's one circuit to another box that's another circuit. That's when you have to start watching your neutrals and what you're doing. So if you're gonna power it on the one circuit, you wanna make sure you break the neutrals on the other one. It's real easy to do, might sound more complicated than what it is. But in this case, both these boxes where this three-way is gonna be have the same power source. It has the same circuit. So all the neutrals are going to go together. I'm going to have to make another video to explain these three-ways a little better, but that's pretty much how it is. Powered on one side, switched on the other. I'm going to choose this side for it to be switched because of that platform. I just want the easiest route for me to run wire. So I'm going to pull a wire, my switch legs first. I'm going to pull from this box, and then I'm going to pull a 3-wire, so it's going to get powered down there. It's going to get switched down here and powered down here. And if it makes you feel better, mark your wire. I'm gonna mark this Foyer. And I don't have a box for this, but I did draw where the light's gonna go, so I'm just gonna leave some wire here. So there's 2 lights on this long Foyer hall that go together. I'm gonna pull it from this way because it's easier. And there's gonna be a whole episode on nothing but lights. So if that looks a little confusing to you, we'll make sure that we get it fixed in a later episode.
See, that's what I do all the time.
I'm stapling this kind of funny because I just want to keep it off of this return. We don't want any wires on that. Okay, that's all the 14.2 on this circuit. Now we got to pull the 14.3 for this three-way. Three-ways on a multi-gang box, I always put the three-way line in with the switch leg if it's on this side. So here's my switch leg that it's going with. I'm putting them in the same slot. And this is how I get away without marking the wires. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to. Foyer 3. Now I gotta staple it down to the other end. Okay, so there we have it. This is our other end of our three-way. So in this box we have our kitchen lights, our pendant lights, and these are single poled, and then we have a three-way here for the foyer. Now this side right here is going to get powered, and then on this side it's going to get a switch leg. So this is going to be the common on this side. And if you wanted to, let's say that this was on a different circuit and it was getting powered over there, all you have to do, the only thing difference is these neutrals go together. They won't go with the rest of them. But we'll get into that when we start cutting in.